This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar. Ever read the back of a healthy-looking protein bar? The ingredient list is almost always shockingly bad. Empty calories, tons of sugar, and ingredients you can't pronounce. This is why I love IQ Bar. Every IQ Bar flavor is packed with plant protein, prebiotic fiber, and brain nutrients like omega-3s to keep you sharp. There are no weird ingredients and next to no sugar or net carbs. And they taste great. IQ Bar complies with every diet, keto, paleo, vegan, plus it's gluten, soy, GMO-free. See for yourself why IQ Bar is the #1 brain and body protein bar in the U.S. with over 10,000 5-star reviews and hundreds of thousands of happy customers. You'll love how you feel. Now get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text BOOST to 64,000. Text BOOST to 64,000. That's BOOST to 64,000. By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQ Bar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at eatiqbar.com/terms.
When it's time for an adventure on the open highway, one quick call to American Family Insurance gets you headed in the right direction. Our Travel Peace of Mind package is there if you encounter a bump in the road. From roadside assistance to rental car coverage, we have you covered. Find a local agent or get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hello. How are you? I'm good. You sound like a whole new person.
I had a few minutes to woo-saw.
To what?
Woo-saw.
Oh, is that your meditation breathing?
No, I just say that. Have you seen Bad Boys 2? That's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Okay. Well,
I think I've seen the first one. I feel like I've probably seen the second one, but I don't know that I would know enough to differentiate between the two.
Okay. Well, usually sequels suck, but I think that the second Bad Boys is way better than the first.
Okay.
They're in Miami. Doesn't matter. Anyways, Martin Lawrence has to go to therapy, and his like woo-woo therapist makes him like rub his pressure points on his ear. He's like, woo-saw. And like there's Martin Lawrence like rubbing his pressure. So like throughout the movie, he's like woo-saw. So now I just say that all the time. Like I have to woo-saw, and I have headphones on, so I can't rub my pressure points. But yeah, Kaya's still screaming.
Is she? Oh, that poor kid.
Yeah.
Poor mama.
And then I thought somebody was knocking at the door, so then Charlie started barking, but there was no one at the door. It was my neighbor's door because I have my headphones on, so everything sounds like weird.
Yeah, you couldn't tell.
Yeah, and I think it was DoorDash, but I was like, DoorDash doesn't knock, so I don't know. It sounded like a food delivery.
They do sometimes with us.
Oh, do they?
Depends, or they ring the doorbell, which is even more annoying because Head of Life Mate could be napping at any given time, right. And then of course when the door we have a ring, so it rings wherever there's an Alexa in the house.
There's just like noise coming at you from everywhere.
And then the dogs are already like dogs know you can't sneak up on my house.
Right.
The dogs will know you're there. The ring tells me when I have movement at the front door.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to ring the bell. Okay. Yeah. I feel like I need to put one of those signs like when people have like young babies, they don't. Because
baby sleeping, don't knock.
You never know when the baby's gonna be sleeping. I feel like I need one with Head of Life Mate.
Yeah,
because of his weird hours.
Totally.
And then now he's sick. He has the man flu. So he came home from work early today, and he actually already called out for tomorrow, which is good.
No. Does he have a fever?
I don't know. I haven't gotten close enough to him, I don't think.
Are you quarantining away from him?
Well, I mean, not really quarantining, but like I'm just kind of staying away just because I'm not like making out with him.
Right.
Because I don't want all that. And whatever bug he's got, I don't know. So he does this thing when he gets when he gets sick. And I just say this because I'm like sweating like a goddamn pig, and I had to check our whatever
thermostat.
Yeah, that thing. Thank you. He does this thing where when he gets sick, where he wraps himself up in like 7 layers of clothing. He gets himself really, really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Curls up under the blankets, whatever. He like sweats it out.
Good for him.
Whatever, whatever that does for him, he believes that it works. So whatever, let him do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to make him your lemon and ginger and mint.
Mm-hmm.
Was it mint? No.
I would just do lemon and ginger.
Okay.
For,
it's like upper respiratory. nonsense.
You could do. I would just do the ginger. A lot of ginger.
A lot of ginger.
Yeah.
What did I put in before? Mint, ginger, and lemon.
You mixed all three. Yeah.
Okay, so no mint this time, just the ginger.
I would do the ginger and lemon for this.
And lemon. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got I'm always hot anyway, right? Because of the MS, I'm always hot. And then our weather here, as you know, it's been jacked out. It's like in the mid 60s today. So that's like super hot for me. So I'm just like, sweating because he's trying to have, he doesn't have it in an unreasonable temperature in here. You know, it's not like the thermostat isn't at an unreasonable temperature. It's that I require it to be at an unreasonable temperature low, keeping it cold. Like my request is kind of unreasonable. So he's, so I don't know. So I can't have it.
Well, I don't have MS. I'm just fat. So I like to keep it cold because I already have enough. I have enough, what do you call it? Padding? I don't know. Insulation.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I keep my apartment at 66 and I'll just layer Kaya up. But Kaya doesn't like to wear clothes. I mean, it could be 66 degrees in here.
Neither do I. So.
Yeah, and she'll be like running around half naked, no socks on, pulling clothes off. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Told you, spirit animal, carrots up her nose.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh. She
started. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was like, we're waiting on our special guest host, who's Hanekawa is still out, so we have a special guest host filling in for her. But while we were waiting on that person, maybe we wanted to do just like 1,000-Pound Sisters.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I'm down. You read my mind, actually.
I was gonna say, let's do that, but we were gonna switch it. Let's just do that, and then when they join us, they join us.
Sounds good. All right, so we're doing season 4, episode 9, Walking on Eggshells. I'm not even going to recap last episode because it's the same shit every week. I said
this week. Yeah, there's just.
All right, so we see Amanda and Misty moving pumpkins, and they ask Michael to help do physical labor, which he moves really slow.
Michael being useless.
Yeah. Is that a bingo square?
It was. We didn't play bingo this week, but yeah, it is. It is a bingo square. Yeah.
Gotcha.
We were too distracted. We were too old lady this week. Like we all had just a lot going on. Like one had like construction people at our house doing some renovation, some work on their house. The other one had, a contractor. I was like, I don't remember what. Oh, I had like, I don't know what I did, but we were all just like old and couldn't focus and we were too distracted and we couldn't handle watch the show, text with each other and do bingo.
I hear you. Well, they're all sitting around talking and Amy's talking about how Tammy told a guy she loved him after an hour of knowing him. And then she tells all of her family that Tammy's getting married in 2 weeks. So, yeah. Amanda's very concerned, which I feel like she has a reasonable head on her shoulders and is always worried about everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, she's looking at my screenshots from this.
Oh, did you get some good ones?
I got some good ones. There's like, what if he's a serial killer outside of the nursing home? It's big boy season. Let's do this.
Oh, that would be a good meme. It's the big boy season one.
Yeah, I made a GIF out of that. And then I got another one of but she don't because she thinks with her cooter.
Yes. We did have some good quotes on this episode too today.
Yeah,
we had a few good ones.
Two sperm whales in there.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I've got that. So they're talking about whatever, like Tammy, obviously she doesn't know this guy very well, but that's how she always is. What are we gonna do? And here's my thing, like, do you that saying anything to her is not gonna help? Like, she's not gonna not marry him. Do you still, express all your concerns and not support her, or do you support her because she's your sister and she's gonna do what she wants to do anyway? Is that what family does?
I'd express my concerns, but then also support her, and then when something goes wrong, be like, I told you so, and then feel better about the whole
Don't say I told you so. That's the worst. That's the worst.
I mean,
no, just be there for them.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think that they're constantly there for her, and then she abuses them. So at some point, I feel like you got to put your foot down and be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
I mean, and even at the end of this episode, we just see how Tammy's expectations of what Amy should do for her are pretty high with 2 weeks notice. So it's just like, come on. Ugh.
Yeah, her Dollar Tree rehab wedding, which God bless them, they made it happen.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let's get some fake sunflowers from Dollar Tree. I love me some $1.25 tree now, but I love me some Dollar Tree. They opened a brand new one right near me. Oh, it's like my gym, and then there's a brand new Goodwill, and then there's a Dollar Tree, and it's like the trifecta. It's beautiful. And then there's a Chinese like buffet place on one end and a McDonald's on the other. It's like, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep. Anyway,
speaking of Dollar Tree stuff, so we see Tammy and Caleb on FaceTime. I guess they're calling in production. And Caleb's like talking about how, oh, she's so sweet. I had to take the chance. And I'm just like, take the chance, huh? I mean, you've known her for 3 weeks. Like, what kind of...
Well, he's been stalking her for like, we don't know how long.
Right. And of course, Tammy says she wants to get married at the rehab center so she can be with all of her friends who are residents, which I totally get.
I get that. That's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. But when they asked, or somebody asked what their honeymoon goals are, I think the producer, and he said that the goals are just to sit next to each other and hold each other. I'm like, shit, that's just me like on a normal day. I wish I could just hold myself and not be bothered. I mean, that sounds like wonderful.
I know, like, I don't know, like, they do they realize the logistics of their life? Like,
no,
he hasn't had surgery yet. They both have trachs. Are they gonna? She's supposed to get hers out soon.
I heard a rumor. They're not together anymore.
Oh God! Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a rumor, so who knows? I saw it online somewhere. Well, in different places. I can't even cite my sources. I just saw it in passing on a few places, saying that and scrolling that Amy did move in with Tammy with the kids. And because Tammy's away from Caleb while he's still in rehab and she's out,
like
that the distance has been difficult for both of them, and that they may not be together anymore. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just throwing it out there, but obviously real life shows up when we talked about last week, like when you're outside of I don't want to say fake setting, but an unrealistic setting.
Right. That's my point is like, do they realize the logistics of this? Because like, he hasn't had surgery. He's still there. She's ready to be released as soon as she gets her trach out or whatever. Mm-hmm. She's going to go home. He's not.
Right.
Provided he does get a surgery. We don't even know how far away he is from getting his surgery. Like if he's going to get approved. We don't know anything about his journey. With Tammy, we knew because we've been following her for 4 seasons, right? We've been following. Right. We know where she's at. He has to go through all those same things. Like we don't know where he's at. So even assuming, so pretend like he's going to be getting home, within a month, that's still like Tammy needs somebody to take care of her still.
Right.
Even though she won't have the trach and she's smaller because she has lost a considerable amount of weight and stuff, she still needs, like, she's never taken care of herself. Like,
no. And I think her personality, I think if anything happens, she's going to continue to lose the weight because she's going to be so in love with him that she's going to want to take care of him. It's not even going to be about her anymore. She's going to want to like take care of him. That's my thing.
You think? I don't think she's going to take it that far.
You don't think so?
I think she's going to be sad and lonely and depressed. And well, he's never going to get here. So then she's going to fall into
her old patterns.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I hope
the people
not.
Get themselves rearrested to go back to jail.
Yeah.
I don't
and then, another thing I saw online was somebody posted a picture of running into Tammy and Amy in the airport, and Tammy was in her wheelchair, And this fan took a picture with her and she looks great. Like she lost even more weight.
Why is she?
Oh, well, she's still big. I mean, walking through the airport, you know, but yep. And then we see Chris and Amy at the gym, and Amy's wearing a black tank top that says, "I'm kind of a big deal." I'm kind of a big deal, as we say it in Maryland. And Jamie says it's a cold day in hell since Tammy is getting married. So, yes.
Yeah. So, not a whole lot happened in this episode, but then the thing that they're doing is why you have to get married so fast?
Mm-hmm.
Are you pregnant? Well, she was asking it, but she was talking about babies. And did I not say during that episode, however many episodes ago it was, I said, I bet you they're planting that specifically because they're setting it up for when she gets married.
Yep.
They're wanting to tie that whole storyline together.
Definitely. Yep.
Like I've been watching freaking TLC shows for
you could definitely not even be like a producer. You could be like an executive at TLC. Forget production. Like you need to just run everything on TLC.
No. Not enough showers to clean me from there.
Well, at this point in the gym, that's when Amy says that Caleb could be a stalker or serial killer, which stalker check, serial killer question mark. Probably not,
I know. I think there's an episode of Dateline where it's like literally called like Too Fat to Murder or Too Fat to Kill or something.
What?
Yeah, because that
was at the person's defense. What
was and I've seen, I mean, the episode is otherwise not very compelling, so I can't remember the details of it about why that was the way that it was. But yeah, so that's what I was thinking of when they were saying serial killer. I'm like, no, I mean, like he's kind of crazy, you know, and weird because he stalked her and got himself admitted there. I mean, obviously he needed to go somewhere anyway, you know,
right?
So
definitely,
might as well go to the place with the hot TV star. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But you know what? If all this ends up being that he gets healthy and he's not crazy and he ends up being normal, then I mean, maybe the stalking was worth it, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know that I want to encourage that kind of behavior.
I know.
But
yeah.
I mean, there's a line between doing your research and being like assertive to go after what you want and stalking.
That is true. That is true.
Oh my God. So yeah, is she pregnant or is she not? She's not pregnant.
She's not pregnant.
There's no way. How is that physically possible?
No, it's not. It's not. And then Amy says she's been working out by lifting the kids up and down. I totally get that. Today on the playground, there was like a seesaw. And of course, Kaya's like 30 pounds, not even. And I'm not even gonna say how much I am, but I put her on one side and I was like using both arms to push down. And then she wanted me to squat. So I was trying to do some squats. And I was like, oh my God, up and down, up and down. She was yelling at me, Mama, more. Mama.
Oh my God, you're like,
I'm too out of shape. I can't push and pull anymore.
I don't want to do these squats anymore.
And then, okay, so then we see Tammy and Amy talking, and Tammy wants Amy to be the maid of honor. And Tammy is kind of selfish and thinking Amy can drop everything in 2 weeks, which is kind of what we talked about before by getting decorations and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then Amy says something about a seascape theme. And Tammy says, I don't want anyone with Free Willy signs. I was like, oh my God.
Oh God. I missed that part.
Yeah.
Oh.
That is selfish. I'm sorry. 2 weeks? She has 2 children. And she's supposed to like plan a wedding.
All right. We're gonna take a quick break right now. We'll be right back.
Throw on some green. Get Irish jiggy with it. And get ready to celebrate the dude that banished all the snakes from Ireland. Allegedly. It's St. Patrick's Day, and that means you're going to need some drinks. So get them all from Drizzly, the go-to app for alcohol delivery. With Drizzly, you can shop local stores and compare prices on more beer, wine, and spirits than you can throw a leprechaun at. Then you can get them all delivered to your door, or wherever you're chowing down on corned beef and cabbage. And you want to know the best part? You don't have to miss a second of searching for four-leaf clovers, pinching strangers that aren't wearing green, or whatever you're into. Doesn't that sound more magical than a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow? So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and get your St. Patrick's Day drinks today. Must be 21 and over, not available in all locations.
With everything you have on your plate, earning your degree online seems impossible. But at Grand Canyon University, we specialize in helping you fit a master's degree in education into your busy day. Your graduation team, led by your own GCU counselor, provides you with the personal support you need to succeed. Achieve your goals with a plan and team behind you. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Visit gcu.edu.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought I'd care about gardening until I bought a house in the suburbs. But now I find myself in conversations about liquid fertilizer, and I wonder, am I the fertilizer guy now? No way. Everyone knows the ratio between phosphorus and nitrogen, right? Yeah, I'm still totally cool.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
And now back to the show. What else you got?
So then we see Chris, Brittany, and Amy and all of the family driving
Headband.
to see Tammy. Yeah.
She had some serious headband action going today. It was like covering her whole head.
Mm-hmm. And then Amy says in the car that Tammy likes to change her man like she likes to change her underwear. And then that's what
you
she
think
says.
She actually wears underwear?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I wear
or would it be
leggings,
easier for her to just like not?
I mean, I'd
like
free
not,
it.
Yeah, like free ball it.
Yeah.
Is
Why
that
not?
easier for her? I wonder.
Try,
if only
yeah,
there was someone we could ask.
Yeah, you have to take your underwear off and on. I can see why that would be easier to just not have it on and wear a dress.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else?
Then we see Caleb meeting the family at the rehab center, and Amy finally sees how much weight that Tammy has lost in person.
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb says he isn't, quote, too far behind Tammy in recovery, but he hasn't even had surgery yet. So
he hasn't had the surgery.
Really
yeah.
And he's got a trach still and no surgery. So I don't think that that's factual.
Yeah.
And then he said he coded a couple of times at the center. I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Coded or had Tammy to like monitor his oxygen level, but whatever.
Yeah. Did he get snot boogers in his trach like Tammy did? Is that the same thing? I don't know.
Then Caleb says that love is worth fighting for, and through anything. Yeah. Then we see Brittany and Amy bringing Tammy wedding dresses to try on, and this was kind of fun.
This was kind of funny. It was nice to see Amy having fun with her.
Yeah, and she brought the groomsmen outfits and Caleb. I was like, wait a second. You're doing too much now. Like,
yeah, now she's doing all of like what?
That man can't order something online and have it sent to the rehab center?
Maybe they had it all sent to Amy's and Amy just brought it all.
Nah, she picked that out. She's like, I found this. Like, what? But I like how she was like, this is an antique tablecloth.
Yeah, because Tammy's like, what are you bringing me? That's ugly. Like, why are you bringing me that?
Yeah, this is a sheer tablecloth. I was like, oh my God. And then she talks about a pure white dress and how Tammy can't wear it because she's not a virgin. And then Tammy says that Amy needs to wear a black dress because she's a demon. I was like, I love them. And I miss that funny scene.
There was a funny scene. I did enjoy it.
I miss the two of them together for sure. All right. So then we see Chris sitting down with Caleb for a one-on-one man talk. And he asks a little bit about him. Caleb says, hey, I'm 39. I've never been arrested or been in trouble. I'm like, that's the first thing you say? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's your selling point, you gotta lead with it, I guess. Right? What else you got? You don't have like a solid job in a house to bring her home to, so lead with what you got.
And then it was weird too because Chris was asking him about like his previous jobs, and he said that he worked as like a tree trimmer, which I don't know how long ago that was because he's a pretty big dude. So I don't know how long ago that was. And then in fast food, which even in fast food, you're standing on your feet all day and you're running around doing stuff. So I don't really know when the last time he had a job was. Then we see.
I mean, that's the thing is like these two are just playing like they're playing like grown up, right? Like, oh, we're gonna get married and we're gonna have this whole thing and like go live happily ever after. We're like, where? What?
Yeah.
Like how? With your round the clock nursing care and your side by side wheelchairs and trach oxygen tubes, like,
yeah. Like I'm totally for them dating and getting to know each other, but getting married, that's a huge commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
just shows you how they view the world, though, like their worldview. That's
well, and Tammy has been treated so badly that she sees somebody that is giving her positive attention. That seems like a nice guy. Yeah. It's like she's eating it up. No pun intended.
Yeah, and it's somebody who's not an eater. So I mean, a feeder.
Yeah.
She's the eater. Well, I guess he is an eater. He's not a feeder,
right?
Like her other boyfriends have been, and it's not like drugs and alcohol like some of her other friends have been and stuff. So, I mean, from that perspective, I mean, the fact that he's never been in jail, like, it is probably a good thing. That is
right.
One of his better assets. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. And Chris says that he calls Tammy Queen Tammy. And
that's how because that's what her Instagram name is. And he stalked her on Instagram. Jesus.
And then Chris says he'll be thanking Jesus for the ass he has left on his body after Tammy gets done with him from chewing his ass off.
All the time.
Kayla's like, we calm each other down. I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they'll prove us wrong and they'll be happily ever after. And this is what they need in their weight loss journeys at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then we're getting ready for the wedding day. The whole family is getting ready to go to the rehab facility, or they're on their way to the facility. And Amanda asks, hey, is he even mobile? And, what's his status? And does he have a trach? Things like that. Mm-hmm. And then she goes, right. And then she goes on to say, how are they going to consummate the marriage? And that's when she says they have cranes up in them rooms like 2 sperm whales. And you made the noise better than I did. Yes. And Chris says he doesn't want to think about it. What if they were rubbing trachs together and she got pregnant?
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And Amanda doesn't want Tammy to be a mom in the rehab facility.
She's not pregnant.
No. And then Amy says he probably hasn't seen his wiener in 5 years and it's dangerous for Tammy to get pregnant right now post-surgery. And that really completes the episode. So next week we get to see them getting married.
Uh-huh. And she's not going to be pregnant. I guarantee you guys that.
No.
All right.
Not at all.
Okay. So we're going to move on to my 600-pound life. We have a special guest host here for that. Hanekawa, as you can tell, is not here again today, unfortunately, but we have our special guest host. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hi, Karen.
Hi, beautiful. Yay!
Hello.
You guys, do you guys know who we have with us? It's Wess. We have Wess again.
And who better to talk about my 600-pound life than someone who was on it?
Wess, introduce yourself.
Hello, my lovelies. How are you guys doing?
We are fantastic.
Great.
Before I start off, I want to say thank you for having me. And I want to ask you, are we loving ourselves today?
You know what? I have taken a little page from the Wess playbook. And I mean, so I think sometimes you just got to dance naked to Lizzo. Like that's like a thing I think everybody needs to do. But outside of that time, just like being around the house, like I've been wearing like crop tops or like my sports bras or something where I don't really have like, the 20-year-old gym body. You know what I'm saying? But I've been walking around showing it off because I'd love my body. I'd love it. Love my belly. Gonna do it.
There you go.
Gonna do it.
You gotta love the body you have because that's the body you have right now. Doesn't mean you can't work on it. See, you're beautiful. You're beautiful because we're all beautiful. There you go. See, you gotta love the body you have now because it's the body you have. And like I said, doesn't mean that you don't work on it.
Right.
doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge that there might be some things you need to lift up on it. You know, just because you fix the Golden Gate Bridge, just because you put some new wires on it, don't mean that Golden Gate Bridge isn't beautiful. Don't mean that you don't love that Golden Gate Bridge. It just means that you love that just means that you love that Golden Gate Bridge so much you're going to keep working on it so it stays around even longer.
That's right.
There you go.
As a San Francisco native, I appreciate that analogy. Wait, we have a question before we move on to my 600-pound life. We have a question about that we were asking on 1,000-pound sisters.
Uh-huh.
They said that Tammy changes her boyfriend more than she changes her underwear. And that got me thinking about somebody her size changing her underwear and the logistics of that. Would it just be easier for her to wear like a dress or a big shirt and no panties and just free ball it?
100%.
Yeah,
100% it would be. Okay, this might be TMI.
Nothing is TMI here.
I don't know.
Nope.
I haven't owned a pair of underwear since I was 17.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Yes. I'm a man with hips and curves, and I've got thighs on me, and it's just easier.
Just easier than pulling on a pair of undies all the time.
And
yeah,
it's easier,
I get it.
and it's more comfortable. And to be quite honest with you, when you are somebody that is the size that I was, even the size that I am now, I am in Tammy from my 1,000-pound sister size territory, or I was, especially then, or she's lost quite a bit of weight now, right?
Yeah.
But we were very similar size for many, many years. And so, one of the big things about that is your body your body shape changes constantly, especially when you have lymphedema. I don't know much about her medical condition, but I would not be surprised if she didn't have lymphedema at some point, especially in her thighs.
Okay.
And if she did, and it was anything like mine was, my swelling, I could let's put it this way, my thighs could gain 5 inches in a day.
Oh wow, just from the swelling.
The swelling,
just from the swelling
and stuff.
And then they could deflate and be 7 inches thinner than they were yesterday, right? And we're talking within a matter of 5 hours. So imagine trying to wear underwear. I know it sounds funny, right? But just logistically.
No, but that's I think a legitimate question that I was like thinking about it. I'm
like imagine trying to wear underwear. Like for me, like the reason why I stopped wearing them was because the constriction became so tight on my thighs when I was in school, sitting in school, that my thighs would start to throb and they would hurt because they would
cutting off the circulation.
It would cut off the circulation to be like wearing a rubber band around.
Oh, ow.
Yikes.
That hurts.
And then after a while, once you get to a certain size, they just don't make them to fit you anymore.
Well, yeah, I guess there's that too. Yeah. I mean, okay. So that answers that question. So the other question I have for you is, are you going to regale the listeners with your hotel story or not? We didn't get to tell it on the your last appearance. I am in love with your hotel room story, and I would love for you to share it. But if you're willing to.
Well, as I told you, the things that we do in pursuit of good dick, right?
Right.
And
right.
So I was losing weight. I had lost a lot of weight. I was out of my little bubble. I was in the city, and it had been a long time since I had been with anybody, and so I was feeling myself. And so I started looking for some men, and I found a guy, and he was wanting things, and he wanted some pictures, and so I decided to take some pictures for him. And I took a shower.
What kind of pictures did he like, Wes?
He wanted some bedroom boudoir photos.
There you go.
I want a picture of your butthole.
No, I've had men ask me that before, and like I've literally had to tell them, I'm like, look, you've never been with a man my size before, have you? And they're like, of course I have. I love men your size. I'm like, no, you haven't. Because if you had, you would realize that there's no way in hell I can get a picture of that for you. Think about it. How
you
am
don't have
I?
one just on hand that somebody took for
Right,
you?
I have one just on hand. And like, how am I going to hold the camera in that angle and bend over and do what I got to do to get that picture for you? Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, I
Okay,
can't
so
balance.
what kind of pictures were you attempting to take then?
Well, he asked for like a picture of me on all fours, right? And so I misjudged the placing of the mattress
on the bed, like in this hotel room, like
yes, I misjudged the placing of the mattress on the bed. And keep in mind, I had just gotten out of the shower because I wanted to be nice and clean, right? So I'm moist, as they say, and I'm slippery, right? And then I go to like
slippery
hop on
wet.
this mattress, and it's like 6 inches hanging off of the edge of the bed, and I didn't realize it. And so like one leg, like my right leg goes on the edge of it that has nothing underneath it, and the whole thing just flips up, and I go down like a 2-ton of bricks hanging on to a sack of potatoes. And
I'm trying to picture this, and I'm just like,
I wish we had video so people could actually see his hand gestures right now.
Yes. And so like I go down, the mattress goes up, the phone flies everywhere. I'm grunting like a pig. I hit the ground. I go rolling. At this point, it's like fight or flight kicks in, my adrenaline hits. I'm trying to get up, but because the mattress is like hanging off of the bed, like I'm stuck between the mattress and the entertainment center. So there's no room for me to like turn around. So I can't turn around. And keep in mind, I was at that point, I had been 700 pounds for over a year, so I couldn't reach my toenails. So my toenails were real long, and I couldn't. Yes, and I couldn't get my feet from underneath me. So like I was on my knees, which hey, that's a place I'm very familiar with. But you know,
same Wes, same.
Yeah, right. But I hadn't been on them in a while, so you know, like my body was like, "Oh, honey, please, we're not ready for this yet." And so like I'm trying to like get off of that. I'm starting to sweat is just like starting to pour down me, and I'm trying to like get up. I'm trying to get up, rocking back and forth. Like the last guy, like the guy from the last episode of my 600 Pound Life. You know, that's I took some notes on that. We're like, you use velocity to like move your body. And like I'm like rocking, right? I'm like rocking, and I get my foot underneath me finally, and I still don't have the strength to pick it up. So then, like I have to move it back out of me, and as I'm moving it back out of me, my toenail snags the carpet, and it just like rips off.
Ow.
And so at that point, I'm like, oh girl, fuck it. You don't fucked up. Like your toenail is hanging off.
What is going through your head at this point?
Well, your first thought is get off this fucking ground. Get up off the ground. Come on, bitch. Ain't no dick worth it. Ain't no dick worth dying on the ground. Like, ain't no dick worth dying on the ground. How you gonna tell what you gonna tell your family? What you gonna tell your family? How you gonna tell people? What are you gonna tell people? Why are you gonna tell people? How are you gonna tell people you lied on the ground? What are you gonna tell you lying on the ground?
He died doing what he loves.
Right? He died in the pursuit of good dick, and I didn't even get to taste it, right? Like, and so like, so finally I was like, I can't get up. I can't get up. So I literally just gave up and like, rolled back on the floor, laid back there. And then I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm in the hotel. The camera crew is like 2 floors down. This would make some great TV.
Yeah,
and
would have.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
I called them. no answer, whatever. So called them, no answer. Ended up having to call the front desk. So I had to explain to the front desk what happened. Of course, I didn't tell them I was trying to take, pictures of me spread eagle on the bed or on all fours on the bed, So I was like, oh, I just got out of the shower and I went to sit down to dry off and I misjudged it and slipped off the edge of the bed. Girl, I had this whole story played in my head. Like, this is the same person here that, told his father that when he got caught sneaking a guy in the house at midnight, that it was his drug dealer and not the guy he was getting out of, not the son.
That's the better alternative in your house.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that sad? Like, to my dad, it was okay. Like, my dad was like, why is there a thug at my door at 1:00 in the morning? And I couldn't tell him, it's because he's been giving me dick for a month. No, Dad. It's because I'm buying pot. And my dad's words were, okay, well, don't tell your stepmother. Right? Like,
You're like, yeah, I'm banging the weed dealer.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, yeah, I kind of was. But anyway. Hey, I didn't have no money and I still wanted that weed. So, But, and so anyway. So, I call the front desk and they send maintenance guy up there in security to help me. They can't get me up. Keep in mind, I'm still naked.
Are you still moist?
Yeah, I'm still moist.
Did you work up a sweat?
Yeah, I'm moist and now I'm damp.
Did they cover you up?
Well, I'm moist, I'm damp. I got a toenail hanging off my
mattress on top of him.
There's blankets.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody could
listen, I'm moist, I'm damp, I got a toenail hanging off and blood shooting out of my foot. And I'm, and at this point the adrenaline's wearing off. So now the pain is starting to kick in. And I'm just laying there. I've got two grown men who weren't very attractive, by the way, standing over me. At least come on, why couldn't I have hot guys at least, standing over me. And they're like, well, we're gonna have to call the fire department. I was like, oh no. They said, we're going to have to call 911. And I knew when they said that, I was like, well, that means the fire department's going to come. Because that's like part and parcel with fat person.
Right.
When a fat person falls and they call 911, that means
they're sending the big boys.
And so at that point, I looked at the maintenance guy and I said, well, could you at least give me that sheet and throw that sheet over me? And so,
you had to tell him.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, bro, I got you. No, yeah, I got you. I'm like, yeah, are you fucking stupid? Like, come on. My shit's hanging out here. You know what I mean? And so, they throw a sheet over me. And then the fire department, the ambulance shows up and they walk in and they're like, is everything going okay? And they're like, oh. And they just stop and look at me.
There really is a naked fat man on the floor that needs to be picked up. Okay.
Yeah. they walk in. They're like, is everything going okay? Oh, and in the meantime, while we're waiting for them to show up, here comes the hotel manager. It's the hotel manager walks in and she's like, hello, sir. My name is so-and-so. I'm supposed to come introduce myself. And I'm like, hi, how are you doing? I'm trying to be composed.
Have you enjoyed the amenities at our hotel? No, your security guard is not hot enough.
Right.
Did you tell 911 you called them for your toenail?
Right. Meanwhile, I'm trying to talk, trying to remain as professional as possible. Oh, thank you. Yes, you got a lovely hotel. This is amazing. Yeah, your beds could use some work.
They didn't want you suing. That's what she was there. She didn't want you suing.
Right. Maybe next time if you're going to have somebody of size, maybe you don't give them a mattress that can slide away from the wall. But that's, besides the point.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah. And so the ambulance shows up with the fire department. And I think it takes 6 or 7 guys. And they end up taking the sheets off of my bed and wrapping them around me. And then literally, yeah, right.
Did they roll you? Did they roll you like they wrapped up a dead body and they're rolling the body out?
No, it wasn't like a burrito, thank God. But it was like they took the sheets and they do you know how like did you ever like take a towel when you were a child and like you like go like this with it that makes like a rope kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
so
you just
they
wet
took,
and you flick somebody with it in the
kinda,
locker room?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
they took that and they like, so actually, let me go back a little bit. So I told the guy, I told the guys the story of, I got out of the shower and I was out on the edge of the bed, and fell off. Again, I want to tell him I was trying to get some dick. And,
I hope they're listening.
I know, right?
And he goes, okay. He goes, and I said, and then I mentioned, I said, I'm here filming an episode of my 600 Pound Life. He goes, oh, he goes, he goes, I've actually been on a couple of those I've been on a couple of those episodes for some of those people that have fallen. He goes, I know exactly what to do. But he took over the situation. I was glad he was there. He took over the situation. He's like, give me that blanket, give me that sheet, give me that sheet. And they took those sheets and he like,
knew
put them
what to
behind
do.
me. And he like put them behind me. And he got like 3 guys on this side, 3 guys on that side, and then a guy and 2 guys in front of me and 1 behind me. And he's like, on the count of 3, we're gonna pull. And they did it, and they got me up, and I was just like, oh.
Like the Undertaker coming up.
Yes, you're wrestling.
Yes, it was just like, oh.
That's what I'm picturing. I'm totally picturing.
Yes, and it's just like they just kind of like rolled me onto my feet, and then they got me on like I was like in a squatting position, and then I just stood up, and I was like, oh, okay, here we are.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you. And then they just left. They wrapped up my foot and left.
And your producers at My 600 Pound Life are kicking themselves for not having answered their phone, because this would have been fantastic footage.
Right. And then they graciously allowed me to stay 1 extra night to heal. Right.
Oh,
and get some
nice.
dick.
Yeah. And I did. I got some dick that night.
We can't end the story without knowing about that.
No, well, not from that guy. I found somebody else on Grindr. He was much better looking, by the way. He came over, fed me some dick. He went home.
Was it worth it?
Yes, it was.
All right. Excellent.
Good dick is always worth it. And then,
as long as it's good, I guess that's my question. I guess was it good?
Gave me his number, and then we've hooked up 3 times since then. So, oh yes.
There you go.
Nice. So it all worked out in the end.
Yes. All it cost was some dignity and a toenail.
So, honey, I've lost that years ago. All right, we'll be right back, and we'll start in with My 600 Pound Life.
All right, we're talking about My 600 Pound Life, Season 11, Episode 7, Chris P's Journey.
AKA subtitle, another mediocre entitled white man who thinks he knows more than
Chris.
Doctor Now. No, I didn't. Okay.
I like Chris. Okay.
Can we wait. Can we just stop and take a moment to bask in the glory that his name is actually Christy?
Oh my god.
Okay. Let's just remember that. Okay, his name is Crispy.
Fuck. Holy shit. So Crispy has mediocre white man syndrome, just like that dude from Florida. It's the same dude over again. But this guy actually had real trauma, and he had some real things happen in his life, unlike the guy from Florida whose biggest trauma was having to like move into his grandparents' house. At least this guy had real trauma. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's 36 years old. And of course, we start off the episode by seeing him waking up. His trouble's getting out of bed. And as Wes said, he has to kind of use momentum to kick himself out of bed, rock himself up. He got up pretty fast, though, once he did. I was like, all right, good for him.
A big guy, he moves remarkably well.
He does. No, he did.
Well, yes, but that's a body in motion stays in motion, right? That
is true.
A body in motion stays in motion. I did want to say, I don't know if you. So these are little things that I noticed, and maybe I noticed them because I was there. But if you go back and you rewatch it, look at his mattress. He didn't have any fitted sheets.
Right.
I can guarantee you, he didn't have any fitted sheets, and that's a
It's a common thing.
Yeah, it's a common thing. You don't have fitted sheets, A, because you're probably incontinent. Okay. And because I know I was at that size, you're probably incontinent. And so it's just a pain in the ass to you have to change a fitted sheet 5 times in one night, right? And B,
so you just put like the pee pads down?
You can, yes, but oftentimes when you're an adult and oftentimes those they have pee pads that are reusable and washable. You can get from Amazon, and you can buy them in a 4-pack of for $24. And I used to buy those, and I'd have to put 3 down. But remember, when you are the size that we are, you put those down. If you lay on them, you can't move, because if you move, then they crinkle and they roll and they move with you because you're so big, you move everything. And then if you are incontinent on top of them, then it just goes underneath it and ruins the mattress and soils it anyway, right? So what I ended up doing was I actually bought a whole bunch of those and sewed them to the back of flat sheets. And then I used those as my sheets. But anyway, so I these just little things I noticed with him, he didn't have fitted sheets.
Right.
So that tells me a story of was he incontinent? Is there more that, and I say this because it's is there more that was going on that he didn't share with us?
I wonder why. This is the first time I've heard about the incontinence, and I'm wondering, have you, Katrina, heard about incontinence with the size, and have they ever talked about it on the show?
Well, I don't know that they've talked about it. It's definitely something that my friends and I have talked about over the years, because one of the bingo squares used to be spot the potty chair, right? So it always, because there was always a big potty chair in these rooms, and so it always got us talking. And sometimes you would see the pee pads, or people who are bedbound, you would definitely see them, or you they don't often talk about it, but you wonder about it, right? So you start thinking through the logistics of it and everything. But I don't know that we ever had an answer, nor did I ever connect the lack of a fitted sheet to the size. I always equated that to when they're living in a hovel, and it's the hoarder's house, and everything is dirty and gross and nasty.
Well, and that could that could also be it, or a part of it. But I look at little things like that, because I know for me in particular, I stopped putting fitted sheets on my mattresses for a long time because of the incontinence, because it was just easier to change a fitted flat sheet than a fitted sheet, because I would go through 2 to 3 sheets a night, right? And and that's also why I was so homebound. I never left my house. I didn't go to hotel rooms very often, because then I was away from the things that made it possible for me to live as independently as I did.
Right.
Just like Crispy, right? He was able to live independently, but was he able to live independently because he could do that? Or was he able to live independently because he had his home set up in a way that allowed him to live that way?
This is fascinating, and I cannot wait to hear your commentary on the rest of the show, because this is exactly why I'm thrilled that you're here, because in addition to being funny as fuck, I mean, that I want to hear these things. So so we have him catapulting or whatever himself up off the bed, which, I mean, let's be honest, we've all been there, right?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I'm almost 50 years old. I can't get up off the floor.
And then we go to the shower scene where he says he can pretty much stand up for 5 minutes at a time, and then he has to sit down. So that was pretty uneventful. He talks about his relationship with his daughter and his ex-girlfriend and her husband, who all live down the street from him.
Okay, I gotta stop for a second, because so he met this woman who he says basically got turned off by him as he got bigger. He said they stopped having sex, although he called it romantically something. I don't know. It was a new way I heard it phrased. Basically, so they weren't. She was turned off by him. They broke up. She moved on. He got some opportunity to move to Oklahoma. He paid for baby mama and baby mama's new husband to move out there with him so they could all be together out there. Now, okay, great that you want to keep your family together, but you're paying to have, like, there's a level of codependency there that's just like, he's not right in the head.
Well, I took it as, I think, yes, codependent, yes. I think that, you know, he never had that he never had a maternal figure constantly in his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so from his backstory with his mother, right, he never had that female figure in his life. So perhaps he met this woman online, she fulfilled some need in his life, right? And then he moved to Rhode Island to be with her,
right?
And then they, for whatever, split up, and he moved for work, but she had a child for him. And I took it as, you know, there are a lot of women that say, oh, I had a child because that child will love me. At least somebody in this world will always love me.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it as like he was doing whatever he could to get the one person in this world that will always love him close to him.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking it was more like desperation to keep them
it's
together.
not healthy. It's just not healthy.
Because remember too,
no, it's not.
Well, he also says he didn't make a lot of money and that this job opportunity was a lot of money and he couldn't pass it up. So I thought he was just doing the right thing by trying to salvage his family while still making a lot of money. I thought it was a good idea. I didn't think it was codependent. I thought it was smart. That's how you and I are opposite.
No, I definitely think it was. I think it was a little unusual. I will say though, kudos to him. I'm just going to call it his ex-wife because I would assume they were probably, if nothing else, common law marriage at that point.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
I would at least give him and his ex-wife and her current husband kudos for at least having a very healthy blended family dynamic, right?
Yes, clearly they do, because later they show him they've got the other kid. They've got his, you know, their baby.
And the
who calls him a stepdad.
That's exactly what I was going to say, right? You know, and so that's good, right? As someone who comes from, I've had multiple step parents, you know, and someone who comes from that kind of family, that's good to see that they at least have that kind of love, right? And they, and they, to me, it looks like they at least love their children enough to allow their children not to feel as if there's something that separates them. They love each other as siblings. And it seems like they allow their children to live their lives as siblings together rather than they're siblings this week and then next week they're not siblings and then the next week they're siblings and then the next week they're not because they're shuffling from house to house, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, ultimately, like, the end result is a good thing. As somebody who I try to maintain a very, you know, healthy dynamic in that regard for co-parenting purposes. You know, and so I totally appreciate that, but I think his motivations for doing it, he might need some therapy. He needs a little bit more Dr. P than we had a lot of Dr. P this week, which was great. But I feel like
I have some opinions on that, by the way.
Okay, then. Well, let's get there. What's next, Lexi?
All right. He talks about his family dynamics, which we kind of got into a little bit, how his mom, Laura, just wasn't there. I mean, she was on drugs. She would go away for days at a time. Sometimes eating was difficult because they didn't have enough food in the house. But then she went on to say that it seemed like there was enough food and he was overeating it. So I don't know what exactly is the truth. But at one point he was living in a homeless shelter. He bounced around from his aunt and uncle's house.
I tend to believe his version of events as far as there being like food scarcity and, you know, lack of food issues. And so you're going to eat as much as you can when you do get it. Because
I agree.
If she's a drug addict or former drug addict, whatever, you know, I just don't buy her version of events at a time when she was using her perception is just going to be completely skewed. So I don't believe her.
You know, something that I found curious was he said that when he went to live with his aunt, that he lost like a little over 100 pounds or something, right?
Yeah, he was playing football.
Yeah, he was playing football and he lost like a little over 100 pounds or something. But then a little later on, after he'd started seeing Dr. Nelsarden, and he'd lost, I want to say he'd lost at that point like 75, 80 pounds, he made the comment that this was the most weight he's ever lost in his entire life. And I'm like, but you said that you lost over 100 pounds when you were with your aunt. So like, this is nowhere near 100 pounds. So well, you know, as someone who was on the show, you know, there's some things that I can and can't talk about, as you guys know, right?
Right.
But I will just say that
production effed up the editing.
Yeah, there's some.
They ask questions in a certain way that they will then edit later.
Yeah, that they probably should have gone back and looked at the editing a little bit.
Continuity errors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had a pretty tragic childhood backstory. Active addiction. Mom was active addict, blah, 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 blah. I did like to see that mom was there for him now, which was good. I like to see that. And she seemed to stay with it throughout the whole episode. You're waiting for her, like the other shoe to drop. I don't think it ever really did.
But then also he had a special needs brother, right? So like, that's another interesting dynamic to me, is it's like, if she was allegedly such a horrible parent, which I'm not saying she wasn't, right? But then like, who was taking care of this special needs brother this entire time?
Right. How old is his brother? Because he might be a lot younger than him. That was my only thought. Because if Chris is 36, his brother may be in his late 20s. Maybe he came after. I don't know.
He looked younger, but I don't know.
He did look younger, but I thought, I know that the mother had at least mentioned that when she was raising her children, she talked about how she thought, oh, maybe her son's food addiction came from if like her daughter didn't finish her food, then she would let one of her sons eat the food. And she said sons plural.
Okay.
So unless he has another brother they didn't talk about,
right,
I would assume that it was that one. But it's like, okay, so you have a son that has special needs, unless he had an accident as a teenager or a young adult.
Like wasn't always special needs or something.
Right. You know,
maybe he was with the father. Maybe it was a different father. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. Okay.
Well, then we get into the relationship about how he met his now ex, which we kind of talked about. So then we see his mom, Laura, in his townhouse. And they had been reunited after not being together or seeing each other for 6 years. And it was like chill, like nothing had happened. Hey, what's up, mom? Hey, like it's been 6 years.
Yeah,
cool.
Come on up, mom.
Yeah.
Which makes me think they totally hung out before this. And of course they just
they're just trying to reenact their
right,
first.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was that awkward moment too of his daughter Zoe meeting grandma for the second time ever. It was like, hey, it's your grandma. Oh, hey, grandma. Hey, like weird hug.
Yeah.
She's like, do you remember me? And she's like, no. Yeah. But,
yeah. I mean, I know that you exist, but yeah.
Yeah. I've heard of you, but
yeah. And she's older than, I mean, they haven't seen each other in 6 years and she's only met her once. That was really sad to me. I was like, what in the world? Okay. So then we go to month 1. We see, again, Zoe meeting the grandma for the second time. We see the big bowl of spaghetti with the bread, making the spaghetti sandwiches.
Bowl. Yes.
Listen, I love pasta. I could crush probably a whole bag of pasta if I wanted to. But then to add on the bread, I was like, oh my gosh, he's doing it. And then
the milk, and then
drinking milk out.
Made me laugh because I was asking you about milk the other day.
Oh, I hate milk. Seeing him drink the milk out of the jug, I was like getting nauseous just thinking about it. I hate milk. Ugh.
I will just say for all the listeners out there, please remember, please, with all your hearts, remember then at the end of the day, this is a heavily produced reality show.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just remember, it is a heavily produced reality show.
Okay, but he didn't get to be 700 pounds not eating that much pasta at a sitting.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that it's not from overeating. I'm just saying, and I don't want to get sued here.
They may enhance certain aspects.
I would just say,
Can I speak for you since I'm not on the show, so I won't get sued?
Sure.
Okay, so my guess is that the producers influence what they eat and how much they eat, and whatnot, or how they're going to eat their food.
Appear to eat on camera,
right? In order to show the audience whatever they want the narrative to be for that particular person, and you can say yes or no or nothing.
So, like for example, they might put a huge bowl of pasta in a serving bowl in front of him, and then at the end of the scene show it empty. But did he really eat it all or not?
That would be a very good question to want to have.
Maybe a person wants to eat one medium pizza, but production's going to order 10 because why not? 10 looks better on camera.
Maybe you're going to make 12 breakfast burritos and put
Did
them
you
on
see
a
the
plate.
breakfast burritos? We didn't talk about this.
We have to back up to talk about his breakfast burritos
because his breakfast burritos were way bigger than your breakfast tacos or whatever. Yeah. Did you see how many burritos he had?
Well, yes, and as part Mexican, the fact that he had store-bought tortillas broke my heart.
Yeah, those breakfast burritos looked sad and pathetic.
I will just say maybe production, maybe 12 breakfast burritos show up and maybe you only eat 1 to 2.
And then the camera crew eats the rest.
Or they just take them off the plates. Because, here's a question. Why he had 12 breakfast burritos spread amongst like 4 plates. And then they show a later scene and there's like 2 burritos missing from each plate. Like, why wouldn't you do all that's on one plate first?
Because the production company sucks. They can't even get their editing correctly. They can't get their
continuity errors. There's not enough money. They don't care enough.
It's like maybe... It's kind of like ask yourself, why would one of your cast members' parents bring over an entire army's worth of barbecue and eat it in front of the cast member right after they've had surgery when the cast members just could just be eating Jell-O?
Yes.
And then all the watchers wonder, why is all that food there?
Because the production told them to bring it over. Yeah.
Or was that for other people to eat afterwards?
Oh. My question is, does production help in the kitchen when they cook all this food? Do they just make them cook it by themselves?
Make the guy sit in his chair and cook his 12 breakfast burritos.
You're going to make 12 burritos.
I was jealous about that, though. I was like, I didn't get to fucking sit down and cook whenever I was on the show.
You should have had a Yeti. You should have sat on a cooler or something.
Like I had to stand up. And it was in the middle of fucking July with no air conditioner on, and stand in front of a stove that was propane. You telling me it was fucking hot in my kitchen, and I had to. And I was fat. I was fatter than him. I was so mad at this episode. I was like, this is the kind of treatment you get? Get me all riled up about that shit.
Oh.
Speaking of how much he weighed, Chris eventually gets to Dr. Now's office.
Crispy. He must be referred to as Crispy.
And he weighs 620 pounds. His mom drove him down there, and there was a bunch of weather issues, but that's not important. So they
once again underestimate the amount of time it's going to take him to drive to Houston, which is always
yes.
But wait, I don't understand. Wait, I'm going to interrupt you. It took him 12 hours to get down there initially, but then when he drove himself, it took him 6 hours.
It took him 7.5 hours to drive the first time down to Houston. His mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least that's what I took in my notes.
It took him like 12, but I was like,
well, they could have said both.
That was him coming back.
Their continuity editor took the day off.
No, it took 12 hours coming back from Houston because of traffic and the weather.
Oh, okay.
And I only know this because I'm typing up notes now, and so that's the only reason I'm remembering these like random numbers and details.
God, I hope I don't get it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Now asks him why is he here? What are his goals? And he says that his goal is to spend more time with his daughter and to be able to do things with his daughter, which I think is a good goal. He plays video games all day.
Can we just say, like, he said that, and I think that's a really good goal. And then Dr. Nalzardan's little clip in the hallway, Dr. Nalzardan's like, he doesn't really have any good goals for life. And I'm like, the man just said he wants to spend more time with his daughter. That's like the best goal out there.
Right?
Well, speaking of daughters, I was looking at Dr. Now's Instagram, and then I was like doing some stalking today, and I saw who he followed, and I saw this girl with his last name. So I'm like, that must be his daughter. Mm-hmm. And if it is, I don't know. She had his last name. But she like makes earrings with his face on them and stuff and all this like artsy jewelry. And I was like, is that his daughter? Like,
that's funny.
Making jewelry for the show. Like,
why don't you just look at who the
well, we know her son. His son is the production company. Yeah. And him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jonathan Nalzardan.
Yes. Now, and his name is actually Nalzardan.
Nalzardan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then.
All
well,
right.
Dr. Nalzardan doesn't think much of Crispy's goal.
Yeah.
He says he wants him to lose 80 pounds in 2 months. So, All right. So then we fast forward to month 2. We see Chris doing some stretches. And by the way, he's more He's more flexible than I am. I was like, wow. Okay, look at him go, because I am not flexible. And we see him taking the trash out by himself, which he said was new to him, that he couldn't do that before. And he mentioned that his ex-girlfriend's husband comes over and helps a lot. So I'm assuming he probably takes his trash out and whatnot.
And you know what? I understand that, because like for years I couldn't take my trash out. Like literally my trash dumpster was like 200 feet from my back door, and like I couldn't do it. So like I understand like the accomplishment of being able to take your own trash out. It sounds so stupid.
No, I get it.
Like to be able to be like, okay, I even do it now. Like I am so like I take my trash out like twice a day now, just
because you can,
because I can do it. I'm like, oh my God, I can take my trash to the trash now. You know, I mean,
it's the little things I think that we take for granted every day. People that can walk and do the normal tasks. That I totally get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we see him playing the virtual reality, like MetaQuest video game, doing some movement on that, which is awesome. My dad has one of those things, the virtual reality thing. Okay, so then we see Zoe and Chris eating healthy, so he's making good meals. We don't know his weight yet, so we go on to month 3. Now, at this point, Chris drives himself back to Houston himself, where his weight is 566 pounds. So he has lost a total of 54 pounds. And of course, his goal was 80 pounds, but that's okay.
He did well, not as well as he was supposed to have. But the first time around isn't always, we know this, right? Because people don't realize exactly what portion sizes, and all that stuff, right?
Now, my thing is, he tells Dr. Now that he eats for 5 days and then fasts for 5 days, which makes me think, is he binge eating for those 5 days? Even though he says he wasn't.
This is the beginning of his eating disorder?
Yeah. Or that too, because that's significant. Like, first of all, if you were binge, even no matter what you ate for 5 days, if you fasted for the next 5 days and you were 600 pounds, you're going to lose more than 54 pounds. I don't know.
Well, I just off topic. I'm so sorry to be distracted by this, but off topic, I just have to say how pissed I was when I was watching this episode and they allowed him to get a fucking haircut, because you don't understand. You don't understand how pissed I was when I watched my show and I saw how horrible my hair looked, and I looked like freaking the butler from Young Frankenstein with 3 hairs stuck across my forehead. And because they wouldn't let me get a haircut the entire goddamn time. And here this guy is like long hair, one frame, short hair the next. And I'm like, really?
Like, and he shaved he shaved his head and was doing that whole thing.
I'm like, and here I am with freaking comb over, and I don't even do comb overs. But anyway, so going back to what
it. He was like, I'm going to do what I want. That's my guess.
I should have done that. I should have fucking done that.
What are they going to do? Not film you?
Right. Because now forever, I have fucking 3 strands of hair on my head for eternity, out on the goddamn internet with long scraggly pieces. Like I have a fucking skullet for the rest of my life on the internet.
If you ever film again, they're going to make you wear a wig. If you want to cut your hair. You're looking like Fabio in the wind.
If we ever film again, there's going to be a lot of changes. I can tell you that right now.
They're going to go, look how much you changed.
I'll be like, here's this jar of Vaseline. We're going to spread that on the lens.
Vaseline.
That's the old drag
you
queen
do not
trick.
want to know where I was going with that. Back to your hotel room in Houston.
Oh my God.
No. That's what you use aloe vera for. That's really good lube. But anyway,
my cheeks hurt from laughing.
Okay then.
I needed a laugh.
So
you just need the oil-free kind, so it doesn't break down the silicone in the toys.
Yeah. True.
True. Okay.
So going back to Crispy.
Crispy. What were we talking about? What did he do?
I'm so sorry. I got
he lost weight fasting. We have fasting.
Yes, he lost weight fasting. I don't know. I don't know about that fasting. That just, that struck me as odd.
Fasting for 5 days is not healthy. Not an expert on any of this stuff, but Dr. Now was like, okay, if you want to fast, try intermittent fasting. Right. It's healthier for you. There's I don't know why or what or whatever, but I understand that that's healthier for you. I've done intermittent fasting. From what I remember, there's scientific basis for these things. So for him to just decide on his own, this is what I'm going to do because I'm a mediocre white man who knows better than the doctor.
Well, right. And that all plays into that's a common theme throughout this entire, it ties into the end of the storyline, right?
Yes. And tell me your thought process on that as we go through this, because okay, so he goes on, the doctor approves him for surgery. He's like, oh well, yeah, don't want it. Because I can do this on my own, just like the guy from Florida. Talk to me about that. What's that mindset?
It pissed me off because there are people out there, 100%. There are other people out there that are desperate to get their hands on Dr. Nalzardan, desperate. Dr. Nalzardan, whatever my personal feelings are about the man personally, professionally, that man is brilliant, okay? I am not knocking him at his skill. He saved my life.
He knows what he's talking about when it comes to
He knows what he's doing. And there are people desperate to get his help, right? Desperate to have the surgery. And for you to just be like, no, I could do it on my own. Well, then why the fuck did you come here? If you could do it on your own.
That's my point.
That book that Dr. Nalzardan gave you, all those tips that Dr. Nalzardan teaches you, those are all in his book. And guess what? You could spend the $25 and buy his fucking book.
Right.
Yeah. See, I'll be honest. I disagree with you guys in a little bit of a way, because I don't think he went into it really thinking that, hey, I wasn't going to do this or whatnot. I really do.
I think it changed for him.
It did, and it didn't change this quickly. After month 3, it still hadn't changed. It wasn't until later on when he saw how much weight he could lose on his own that he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to try this first because I can do it. But here's the thing too. There are risks with any surgeries. And when you do any of the surgeries, it is permanent. So I can see why he's like, okay, I'm still losing. Let me just hold off and see what happens.
No,
and then, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's because mediocre white men are my trigger, but he was very much like the guy from Florida, right? Where
I don't think so, because that guy didn't lose weight.
He did on his own at first.
Not much.
Once he was successful, he was like, oh, look what I can do. I don't need you. I've got it all because I'm the best.
Well,
I don't think this guy was arrogant though. Like, I don't know. I think his personality was different.
I want to hear what Wes has to say.
I think it's an excuse
to not get the surgery.
I think that, you don't get to be over 500 pounds without having an addiction to food. You just don't.
Right.
You just don't. Full stop. It's an addiction. Right.
Definitely.
100%.
And if you don't address that addiction, you'll do good in the short term.
Right.
But in the long term, you're not going to do well. And so,
which doctor now kept telling him, and he's like, but I know better than you.
Right.
He didn't say that though. He didn't say I know better than you.
He didn't say that with his words, but he said that with his actions.
Absolutely. 100%.
And I, if this gentleman continues to lose weight on his own without the surgery, I wish him all the best.
Right.
And I hope, I pray, because I've been there. I have been there. I've been in that life. I've been in that mind space. I've been where it's so dark. All you do is eat because that's all you know. You're filling that empty void in yourself.
Yep.
You want to die, but you don't know how to kill yourself. We're going to get real here.
Yeah.
You don't know how to kill yourself, and you don't have the guts to take a gun and blow your brains out. You don't have the guts to take pills and go to sleep. You don't have the guts to jump off of a building or commit suicide any other way. So you do it by eating food, and you're killing yourself by eating food because you're committing suicide by eating all that.
The long-term suicide plan.
You're doing long-term suicide. And if you don't fight those demons and you don't beat those demons, they're going to always come back. And I don't ever want them to come back for him. And I hope that he continues on this journey that he does. But it just makes me very nervous when someone refuses the help that they're given, that they're offered, because they think they can do it on their own. Because if you notice, he started doing things like when they were going grocery shopping, he bought strawberries.
Right.
Now, everyone thinks, everyone thinks that strawberries are healthy, but strawberries have sugar.
Right.
Sugar turns into carbs. He bought sugar-free or low-fat ice cream. That's just a stepstone from sugar-free, low-fat ice cream, then turns into, just one regular ice cream cone. When they went to the movies, if you looked, he bought a hot dog. And you're allowed to cheat. I've cheated. I have dark chocolate Lindt right here on my desk. I cheat. It happens.
It does.
But I had the surgery. I have lost 238 pounds and I'm still losing.
Yay!
That's amazing.
I just joined a new gym today and got a new trainer, right? Like, yay! I did all of these things and I'm making the steps to go forward. And I see him and I could see the little things. Like, I can see him, he didn't have the surgery. And then I see him, he didn't have the surgery. Then I see him buying the strawberries, which are essentially candy. And he bought the low-fat ice cream bars, which I know for a fact are gonna turn into regular ice cream bars. He bought a hot dog.
Yep.
And that hot dog, is that gonna turn into 2 hot dogs? And now the fact that he didn't have the surgery means that he could fit 2 hot dogs into his stomach.
Yep. And see, this is my point. This is exactly my point, right? He gets a little success And he thinks, oh, I can do this. Now, that's different from I get a little success and I continue. It helps to motivate me. Like seeing my progress in the gym motivates me, like to lift heavier or whatever. Not in that good way. Like he's like, oh, I can do this after all. I'm big, bad, whatever. The professional who has the expertise that I went to is telling me I should do this, but I'm not going to listen to him because I, the mediocre white man, know better because that's how my entire life has been. That's what that syndrome that I call it, comes in.
Right. Well,
right.
Then let's also think about, he also says that he's so happy that he's being able to do it with his mother and his brother again. So the impression that I get from that, and maybe this is just the narrative that the edit is trying to push, he's fulfilling that need that he didn't have as a child. He's getting time with his mother back, he's getting his mom back. He's going to the movies with his mom because he said it himself in the show. We didn't get to go to the movies more when I was a kid because we didn't have money.
Right.
So now he's going to the movies with his mom.
Well, even Dr. P pointed it out and told her to basically do that, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing things with his mom, but we've already established that his mom, in his own words, she'll be good. She'll be there for a while, but then, she'll be good. And then she'll go away.
Yeah. So what's going to happen when she goes away again?
What's going to happen when she goes away again? And now that he hasn't had the surgery, he does not have something in him that will physically make him stop from engorging himself. Because if he had the surgery and he went back to eating 12 breakfast burritos, I'm here to tell you right now, after one breakfast burrito, he would throw up.
Right.
And
so, I mean, here's the thing too, is if he had the surgery, it's not like the things he's doing that were successful. He was successful on Dr. Now's program thus far, creating his own fasting rules, whatever, which I think he's going down disordered eating route, but that's a whole other thing. But he did this stuff. If he had the surgery, he would still be doing that stuff after the surgery anyway. Like you just talked about, you're eating right, you're going to the gym, you're doing those things. He would still be doing all those things with his mom and brother, although I don't think his brother needed to lose weight, although eating healthy and being active is always good, right? Regardless of your size. So he would still be doing those things. It would just be an additional tool to help be a backstop against the 12 breakfast burritos. He could still do that.
Well, and in fact, I'm getting old. I lost the train of thought here. In fact, oh my God, it's gone. Never mind. We're gonna let's edit that out.
We do that all the time.
All the time.
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay, we can.
No. I wish him the best. I am disappointed that he didn't have the surgery. I'm pissed that he didn't have the surgery because he took the spot of somebody else that could have had that surgery.
Yeah.
So, it's good that he's doing so well as of this show. I don't know how he's doing now. I didn't look him up, right? I don't even know if he has social media.
He does. I sent Katrina something.
Lexi messaged him. I think she found him. She always does during the show. Yeah. The show's not even finished airing, and she's found him. So wait, let me go back to real talk, because you were talking about this earlier, and there's this fear. There's so much of what you talk about when you get real that reminds me of my life in addiction, right? And what I in substance abuse addiction and things like that, right? And that's what my reality is, and my world, consists of. And you see people who do the equivalent of what you're, going to get and not listening. Oh, I can do this on my own. I can do this. Okay, more power to you. If you can, more power to you. Oh, I'm not really an alcoholic. I'm not, whatever,
Right.
If you can go out and stay sober.
Or they go to AA, or they work the program for 3 or 4 years. They do really well, and then they have a relapse.
Because they're like, oh, I don't need to go to meetings.
Right, because they got off the program. They thought they could do it on their own. They stopped working it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. There's a lot of parallels there. But also like this fear of getting the surgery. So we talked about it a little bit when we were covering the guy from Florida, and we're starting to talk about it a little bit here too. Is this, like, he maybe had a medical fear, that other guy, or this guy has a fear clearly of maybe a fear of failure. If he goes ahead with the surgery and then he doesn't lose the weight, like, then he's going to fail again. Maybe if I just don't get the surgery, there's a lot of parallels to that in my world too, because there's like, what if I can't, if I stop drinking and I tell people I can't say stopped, and there's parallels there, and I really can understand that visceral fear underneath that we don't acknowledge, right? That's keeping us from getting healthy.
But that's also part and parcel, though. That's also the addiction talking, right? Because that's the addiction trying to find any way to stay stay alive.
Right.
Because like, I don't know if I shared this with you guys or not, but for years, I worked in addiction and recovery. I worked in a rehab facility, right? And so in Houston, and one of the things we learned was that when you form an addiction to something, what happens is, the physical change it does in your body is it changes the chemical makeup of the receptors in your brain, where your brain figures out that if it does this action, then it builds a dopamine receptor,
that short circuits that reward,
that so pathway. Then it learns that if it continues to do that, then it gives pleasure. Yes. So then, that's the shortened version of what happens,
I remember learning about that in rehab, and I was just fascinated at the way the brain short circuits itself. Yeah. Right.
And so, whenever you cut that off, that pleasure receptor starts to die. So the brain is trying to hold on to that. So it's going to do whatever it can to keep that there. And so, it's going to say, okay, well, what if we do this to keep it, And so that fear, is that real fear, or maybe it is fear, but is it also the addiction trying to stay there? Right. And so, you have to be cognizant of that. That's why you have to work the program. You have to work at that addiction, because you have to be self-aware. You have to, and I'm going to brag about myself a little bit here. That is one thing I will say about myself is before I started doing anything of my weight loss or anything, is I had to take a long, hard look at myself. That's something I'm still having to do now, because I had to learn what the hell was going on, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I had to recognize and see when it was coming down the pipeline, is to be able to differentiate, is that a real emotion, or is that me trying to deflect, or, is that delusion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You got to do the work. To learn that stuff.
And you've got to learn to do that. There's no shortcuts in life. There's no shortcuts in it.
Nope.
And if you do take a shortcut, it may yield positive results now, but in the long term, it's like building. What do they say? It's like building a house. If you build it upon a weak foundation, you might get 3 or 4 stories in, but eventually that foundation is going to break.
And I feel like that's this guy, this Crispy, right? He built it on a weak. If he's going to build his weight loss on a weak foundation, and he's bypassing one of the greatest tools that you can have, he has all these other tools, eating right and food scales and all these things you can do that are tools in your thing.
And now I remember what I was going to say, going back to that. And because he's doing so well pre-surgery, if he has the surgery, that only that is only going to help him to heal and recover faster. Because if he is really doing the work he's supposed to be doing, and he's, exercising and losing the weight and changing his eating habits and all of that stuff, his recovery time is halved, like in half. Instead of being down a month, he might be down 2 weeks.
Right.
And there are still things he could do from the bed to exercise, and let's be honest, I'm telling you right now, he's going to be on a liquid diet for a week before and a week after, if not 2 to 3 weeks after. Baby, you're going to drop even more weight.
Right.
That liquid diet. You can exercise from the bed.
Well, let's go into this. And Lexi, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on, as he progressed, his eating got, to me, it seemed to be more and more disordered as he was going along. Was that just me, or did you see anything with the way he was fasting and the way he was treating, not eating at all, or what I mean?
That was all in the beginning, but throughout the rest of the episode until the end when he does the other stuff, I don't feel like they showed very much of it. He had the lettuce wraps with his daughter. They showed that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they showed a lot of it.
No, I think it was more of just his talk about it, from the 5-day fasting. And it seemed like as it progressed, there were just little hints, it seemed to me, that he was not eating on a normal, healthy kind of level.
I don't know.
I will say that he talked about eating a lot of salads. And I do know that we were told to not eat salads, or to limit our consumption of salads, because salads are very, they don't have very much nutrients to them.
Right.
And they take up valuable space. Right. They're just filler, you want more, you want protein,
Right.
So you eat a lot of protein rich foods, very, very few vegetables, avoid fruits if at all possible, because fruits just break down into sugar, which turns into carbs. Same thing with potatoes and starches. They just turn into sugar, which breaks down into carbs. Stuff like that.
Lexi, as a vegetarian, what are
you broke up.
Oh, as a vegetarian and someone who eats, tree bark, what are your thoughts on him eating just nothing but salads?
Here's my thing. Forget about me being a pescatarian, or let's
I always do that. I call you vegetarian.
It's okay.
You're actually a pescatarian.
I was a vegan for 4 years, and I was the healthiest I've ever felt. But I feel like every person, and this is my Chinese medicine and my field that I'm in now, every person is unique. Every body is unique. And so everybody needs different things. Of course, everyone needs protein, hands down. You can't live without protein. You feel full on protein.
That's my first when I'm eating and I have limited space. I always
I know if I make a white
first.
egg omelet with vegetables in the morning, I'll use one yolk and use the rest, just egg whites, and have a high protein breakfast. I'm good for the rest of the day. I'll feel full or just satisfied. I will always disagree with people saying not to eat fruit. I will always disagree with that, but I will say in moderation. But everybody's different. So for instance, Wes's case where he had the surgery, there's only so much room for him to eat. So it's okay, you have to eat the most nutrient dense food in every time you eat, right? Because you're only allowed, you can only,
you're only going to get so much. Yeah.
Whereas an average person can eat a lot more at one sitting. Not that you necessarily should, but so I feel
portion sizes in America, that's a whole series right there.
Whole other thing. But I can understand why Dr. Now's program is set up the way it is, because you have people coming in that are so dependent upon carbs and addicted to sugar and carbs. So eliminating all that, because fruit does turn into, you talked about earlier, what it turns into. I can see where he's coming from. He has to make it kind of black and white, high protein, no carbs. I get that. But he's dealing with a different population of people than the general population. So
yes, and that's what I'm speaking to. And we also have to remember, there's that old adage that they say, oh, your stomach will, if you just, stop eating so much and eventually your stomach will shrink and da-da-da. No, that's not true. Your stomach will not shrink, right? Your stomach is a muscle that's designed to stretch out, but it does not shrink. It does not go back, right? And so that's why you have to have this. That's why you have the surgery, so that you cut the excess of the stretching
the stomach
of the
that
stomach.
you stretched out so much.
Right,
That makes, that makes sense.
And then also, another part of the reason why you have the surgery, and this is, we're going to get into the technical part about it, is when they remove, Dr. Nalzardan recommends that you first have the gastric sleeve.
Okay.
So Dr. Nalzardan does 2 surgeries. He does the gastric sleeve, and then he does the bypass. The bypass is the most serious surgery, and that's where they literally bypass a large portion of the stomach and connect straight to, I think it's either the small intestines or the large intestines, one of the two, right? And so, and in doing that, that's, there's no coming back from it. There's nothing else you can do. That's the last resort. So what he likes to do, what Dr. Nalzardan prefers to do, is he first prefers to do the gastric sleeve, because that cuts a portion of the stomach off. It does not require any bypassing of anything.
Okay.
It just shrinks the size of the stomach. But so then that way, if that fails, then he can then move on to the bypass.
Okay. Okay.
But when he removes a portion of your stomach, he's also removing the portion of your stomach that has the hormone in it.
Is it the feeling of being full?
So yes. Yeah. So you don't crave food anymore. You just don't for a certain amount of time, because you don't have that hormone in your body any longer.
We'll be right back.
Did you know that 30 million women are impacted by weakened or thinning hair? If you're among them, know that you're not alone and that there is a solution that you can trust to deliver results. Millions of Americans experience thinning hair. It's more than common. It's actually normal, but it's not openly talked about, especially among us women. Going through it can feel lonely and frustrating, but it's time to change that conversation and join the thousands of women who are already standing up for their strands with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through a whole body health. Nutrafol has 3 unique formulas to support women through all stages of life, including postpartum and menopause. Each formula is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients in consistently effective dosages so you get the most reliable results. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. Over 3,000 top doctors and stylists have recommended Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code FRAUD to save $15 off your first month's subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FRAUD. And now back to the Fraudcast.
And I know that there's a lot of us that have the hormone. I didn't learn about this, but I just heard about it. About some people don't know when they're full. They can eat and eat and eat and never be full. And I really think I'm one of them, where there's no stopping point. Whereas others are like, I'm full, I'm going to stop now.
Yeah.
Some people genetically are like, nope, I can still eat and never feel full.
That was me with alcohol.
Right. Yeah. And so, when you have that the gastric sleeve, they cut the portion of the stomach that has that hormone away so that, you will feel full.
That's interesting. That's
and so, and it's because it is a tool that you use to aid you, just like a treadmill or an elliptical machine or anything else like that.
Exactly. A trainer, a gym membership, whatever, And if you ultimately change your diet after, because of your whatever your lifestyle and stuff, but Dr. Now takes me back to this. He's the expert, go to the expert and then disregard what they're telling you. okay, well, just like that other guy, like you're going to lose a lot at first and that's great, but then it's going to slow down, and then you're going to stop. And every exact thing happened. And that's the same thing that's going to be with this guy.
Dr. Now did say that he beat all of his odds and statistics, and he said he's never seen a patient lose the amount of weight that he's seen with this person not having surgery.
He did say that, but he also did say that, but in the long term, he suspects that he will fail.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's an eating disorder that's causing him to not.
I will say though, I also wonder, the show does not pay for your surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay for your own surgery. So that makes me wonder, this gentleman's not working,
mm-hmm.
And surgeries are not cheap.
Right.
And so I wonder, maybe was that a factor as well? Like, could he simply just not afford the surgery?
If he's on Medicaid, they should pay for it, right?
If he's on Medicare, yes, they should. But is he on Medicare? I don't know.
We don't know.
If he's not working, I would assume.
I assume they're all on Medicare and all getting disability of some kind.
I would assume, but that is dependent upon the state that you live in, right? Because the state, even though those are federal programs, they are regulated by the state that you live in, right?
Yeah.
And there is a base limit of coverage that Medicare has to provide. I do know that, I was on disability for many, many years. You have to be on disability for a minimum of 2 years before you qualify for Medicare.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, in order to qualify for Medicaid, you can get that automatically if you are on, not Social Security disability, it's the other disability. Like Social Security disability is the one that pays a larger portion, like it pays a portion of what you made, like what you contributed, versus the other sort of disability. I don't remember the exact name of it, like SSI or something like that. That's the one that pays like $500 a month.
Okay.
That one is also dependent upon your assets. So you're not able to have, and again, these are rules for Texas. I don't know how they are for Oklahoma, right?
Right.
In Texas, like you're not allowed you're not allowed to have a certain amount of money in the bank. You're not allowed to have more than one car, XYZ or wherever. And so if he was on disability, I would assume that in Oklahoma, it's probably like Texas, because it's a very conservative state as well,
mm-hmm.
that, you probably had to be on disability for a minimum of 2 years. And I think he was working within the last 2 years, correct?
He might have been. I don't remember the specifics of it, but that's all good. Really good food for thought. I mean, there was just a lot with him. Like, how did he continue to defy the odds, right? Losing all the weight. He just, I don't know. There was just so many things about it that screamed eating disorder to me, or disordered eating. And
in fact, he may go the opposite. I actually, if anything, think he may be anorexic at one point or something, like stop eating completely.
Well, you can be anorexic and be large,
Oh yeah.
Right?
Because it's the behavior.
Y'all said, and you said that you had looked him up. Is he still doing well?
He posted a little bit in February and whatnot. His face looks thinner. He hasn't posted very much. It's hard to see.
Okay. Yeah. And he has the beard, which is darker. So, he wears dark shirts. I will say though, this is a funny anecdote. Girl, I recognize all them. See, I can see in his neck that he's lost weight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But them shorts that he's wearing, I know exactly where he got them shorts from. Those are from King Size Direct. I recognize them shorts the minute he put them on. I'm like, those are King Size Direct, and those are probably 4 to 5X. I know them shorts.
They did him dirty on his interview, like the lady who didn't wear panties, and they filmed up her crotch. With this guy, the way that they like pulled his shorts up and his shirt back, like giving him
you didn't see what they did to mine?
Oh, I did. I have a picture of it.
I don't even remember.
I totally remember, but this guy, they did him worse than they did you.
That's because I didn't let them do it to me that bad.
Yeah, that's true.
I got up. No, I'm honestly, like, they hiked him up a little bit and I picked that shit right back out.
And you're like, I'm not having this. I'm not getting no moose knuckle.
I'm like, you're already fucking my hair up. You're not going to show everything else.
That is so funny. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, but interesting. Yeah, I didn't hate this guy as much. I didn't hate this guy as much as I hated the guy from Florida, but I did feel he's just a little too full of himself in the I got this way. Like, I don't know. Like, one of the things I heard when I was in rehab and living at the sober house was like, if you ever say I've got this, then you're fucked, because you always have to be diligent. And I feel like he's
I don't think he said I got this. I think he said
but
I want to
he
try
basically
this.
did. He basically like, I've got this. I don't need doctor now.
He didn't
and I feel like that's just dangerous.
He didn't
have to say the words.
He said, I want to keep trying and see how it goes. Like, I feel like he's putting words in his mouth. Like, I really do.
I'm just saddened with the fact that, and the way that I look at it, and maybe I look at it a little differently because I was a cast member on the show.
Right. Well, that's why we love your perspective.
Right.
That's why we want you here.
Exactly.
Right. I just look at it like, and again, I wish him all the best. And if he's continuing to lose weight, and I am so proud of him, right?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him.
Absolutely.
And I hope that he does great. And I am not speaking ill of this man. I don't know him from Adam. I've never met him. I've never met anybody else from the show. I've reached out to a couple of them. They never responded back to me. So
really? I was going to ask you that, actually.
Yeah. So fuck them all. I don't know why, but whatever. I think I'm awesome. So fuck them. But I look at it like he took the spot of somebody else that could have been there, and that person may have died now because of their weight.
Right.
And I know that might be overreacting, but it's
I think it's overreacting.
100%.
And
parallels
like that,
again.
Like that person could have died because they didn't get the surgery that they needed, because that man took up a spot on the roster.
Right. Right.
And if I feel like and I don't also understand why, like, the production company continued to film him afterwards. Like, I don't understand why. Like, that's what really pisses me off. Is it's like, if he said, I'm not going to film, if I'm not going to have the surgery, then why did they continue to film him?
Why do they continue to film every single person this season?
The woman who
that doesn't have a
ghosted
surgery.
The woman who ghosted him last week? Yeah.
The
last week's episode, Stephanie.
I'll be honest with you. I've only seen my
she
episode.
literally ghosted him.
She straight up ghosted him.
She blocked him.
And blocked him. And they continued to film, and they did the whole. And then we said this is that every time they show Dr. Now B-roll, which I've mentioned before, the B-roll of Dr. Now used to be him looking at these big old X-rays on the old style X-ray thing. Now it's him at his computer with, like, patient charts in front of him, which they're blurred out or whatever. But whenever they show Dr. Now B-roll, it's because the person ghosted him.
Yep.
Well,
I think Natasha is the one that pointed that out.
Yes, I want some tea.
Okay.
Pipe
and I hope I don't get a call. I hope I don't get a call like a week after this episode airs from like the production company. But fuck it. Oh well.
They're too busy in their lawsuits to deal with us.
Yeah, they're not going to listen to us.
Right. Hell, they still fucking know. I'm not going down that road. But it's very. Let's just say it's. When does this show usually premiere? When does its season usually premiere?
December?
Is it?
When did it premiere this year?
It was late this year. They had the dates up and everything, and then they didn't.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
They ended up airing a shortened season of Where Are They Now? Yeah, because we had it on the calendar and everything. We had it on the calendar, and then they didn't air it. And then we're like, okay, and then they changed, and it's just like all TLC shows do that. We were 90-day people for so long. We were so used to just never knowing when the season was going to end or start. So it started late. So
what happened?
Yeah. What does that mean? What happened?
Well, just
schedule they had.
I wonder why they had to start. I wonder why, because you guys know, behind the scenes, like TLC does not produce the show, right? Like the production company is Megala Media produces the show, and then they sell it to TLC,
right?
And then
Discovery,
TLC,
and then
right? And then Discovery is the one that decides when it airs,
right?
But why would Discovery buy the show? Because like I was done with all of my stuff.
They could have aired you, is what you're saying.
Right. I was done with all of my stuff. I'm not going to give I don't know if I can give an exact time frame, but let's just say I was done with all of my stuff in mid to late 2022, right?
So like your stuff could have aired.
Right. All of my stuff was already done. And so if my season was projected to have aired in the fall of 2022, and my stuff was already done before the fall of 2022.
Right.
Why did Discovery buy those? Because they had to pay Megala Media for that stuff, right? Why did they shell out that money and then risk potential money loss from their advertisers? Because it's a money game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they risk potential money loss from their advertisers this entire time? And then post it late. Like, what happened? That's what I want to know.
The lawsuits probably happened. There's something tied into that.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously had content they could have aired. It wasn't like whatever they planned to air, they couldn't do. It was late or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had spent money and time on advertising that December date. So
Is this why Dr. Now's acting differently this season than the past seasons? Because he's a lot nicer.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you should see some clips. Have you seen like the old school episodes?
Some of the old school ones are funny. Like, oh my God, like there's some old school ones that you need to watch that if you haven't. Like there's classic episodes that you need to watch. Right. Like the one with the woman had the maggots in her skin.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
The one with the sandwich between her folds.
Right. Well, I feel like I guess I feel like my season is going to get like the same reputation of like Drag Race season 7 season, where like they were considered like the boring season.
I've never seen that.
No, I think the boring one was the COVID one when they just followed people at home and they followed Dr. Now. A lot of Dr. Now B-roll in that season because nobody could have the surgery. So it was like they did some, just like they did with 90 Day and Diaries and all the other bullshit that was happening on TV.
Well, because
but that is how we got Tiger King. So not all is lost.
Yeah. Right. Because it's like, because it's like, from my understanding, has there been very much drama this season?
It's been pretty blah.
Stephanie was a little, I thought, but you don't have people like, what's her name? Sheree.
You don't have Stephen Asante.
Do you believe in God? You don't have Stephen Asante. You don't have
which is sad to say, but we need him back. Like he is like,
was he the drug addict that was
like missing teeth? Yeah.
He and his brother, and he flung himself off the back of a golf cart. They're really
to get pain medicine to go to the hospital.
We had a request on our Facebook group to cover the Asante brothers episodes.
I'm down to do that one.
There's like 3 episodes because there was the original one, and then there's the Where Are They Now, like part 1, and there's like they follow them.
Yeah, and their poor dad. Their poor dad was just.
That whole family was so dysfunctional. They were like that because poor dad. Don't get poor dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say the dad was awful.
Anyway, we've been at this way too long.
Yeah, that always happens with us.
I know. But we probably should start wrapping it up. Other comments and things about the episode.
Okay, so I'll just go to the end.
Yeah.
So he goes back and forth between being Wade. He goes to see Dr. Paradise. Paradise.
You want to talk about Dr. Paradise?
He just says that his homework is to let his mom take care of him, like cook for him, and that he should do activities with his mom that remind him of his childhood, or a childhood, I should say, like hitting a beach ball around or even going to the movies together, which they do. Now we're going to fast forward to just month 11. Chris weighs in at 382. So he has a recent weight loss of 99 pounds, total weight loss of 238 pounds. His mom and his brother also lose some weight. Then at the very end, because I'm just going to fast forward through it all, month 12, his current weight is 364 with 364. And wow, he was 364. I didn't even realize that. I put it with a recent weight loss of, or a total weight loss of 256. I don't know why I'm having trouble talking.
You wanted to talk about the therapy episodes.
I just wanted to say those motherfuckers stole my group therapy session, and I was pissed about it.
Tell me more.
Yes. So, they had the set, like, they had mentioned, I don't know if it made, can't remember if it made it in my episode, because yes, they showed me going to Dr. Paradise, but it had been mentioned. They were like, oh, would you like to have therapy with your dad in the session? And, maybe that's something we'll do, because we've never done that before. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that'd be fun. And then they never called me, and now this motherfucker has it. Yeah.
And he doesn't even have
stole
the
my storyline. Stole my, and I could have done it better. I could have cried. I could have made something happen.
You sure could have.
I could have made it entertaining. Jesus Christ, these people.
Get on all fours, try to take a picture of yourself, see what happens.
There you go. Like, I could give them something. Like, just give me like a web series or something,
Follow Wes now.
Yeah. Gay sexcapades with the 500.
When are you starting your podcast?
Oh, honey, that is hopefully soon. It's hard to do a podcast with two other people, right?
That's true.
You got to sync up schedules, and one of them is you just have to sync up people's schedules.
Oh yes, we're aware. We're aware. Scheduling issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I think we've exhausted crispy. But now I want some either crispy fried chicken or Krispy Kreme donut. I don't know which one, but I think I have some Peeps downstairs, so that might be my bedtime snacks.
Peeps? You eat those nasty little things?
Ooh.
Oh, Peeps are disgusting.
You probably don't like candy corn either.
Candy corn is even worse.
No, that's disgusting. Why don't you just go eat dirt?
Yeah. My headphones fell off.
What is delicious though is black licorice.
I was so upset over your Peeps comment. My headphones flew off.
Jesus. All the Peeps for me. I'm going to take you down to National Harbor, Lexi. I'm taking you to the Peep store.
God, I'll burn that bitch down. All the marshmallows will probably blow up.
I think you're threatening destruction, and she's not. Big Brother,
no,
she's not. She's not. She's kidding. She's kidding. You guys. Jesus. Right.
She's just going to have s'mores. She's just going to take graham crackers and chocolate and have s'mores.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Has anybody here burned a Peeps just to see what they look like? Or is that just me when I was little?
Okay.
That's not sociopathic. No.
Sociopath.
That's not. I'm just curious. Nobody's lit a Peeps.
I should have my child psychologist friend diagnose you.
No. Hey, I have a psych degree. I'm not crazy. I promise.
I would like to say that Wess Shulze is not affiliated with the Fraudcast.
Somebody out there is listening and is thinking, wow, yes, I tried to light a Peeps on fire to make it a s'more. Okay. It's not just
if you have, hit us up. Let us know. Hit us up on the Facebook group. Hit us up on Instagram. Follow all of us, all the socials, the links, all of that is down below. So is our website, thefraudcast.com. We've got some merch on there. It's a little bit older school. There's some Cody stuff on there. We don't have anything recent on there right now, but go check out the merch. If you like us, please leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a nice little note. That'd be great for us to read and really lift our spirits and help us love each other and love ourselves. Wes, do you have any parting words for us?
You took them out of my mouth. Just love yourself. Always love yourself.
Well, I know it's been in your mouth, so I really don't want to be there. So
and thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast. Thank you.
It's always a blast to chat with you, Wes. And without spoiling anything, this won't be the last you'll hear of Wes.
Yes.
So we're very excited about some upcoming recording things of some awesome interviews and things that we've got coming up. So keep listening to us at the Fraudcast. Subscribe to the show so that you do not miss an episode. We love you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take as little as 3 minutes to see if you could save on motorcycle insurance with Progressive. Come on, you've spent more time than that thinking about helmets with faces on them.
I should get a new helmet. Ooh, maybe I'll get one of those ones that looks like a face with painted teeth and eyebrows, you know? Oh, that always looks so cool. People are like, whoa, is that a person with 2 faces? Oh, no, it's a helmet. And 1 face.
Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.